Hey, how's it going? This is Melinda and welcome to my channel. Today, I want to talk to you about myths when it comes to stereo equipment, vinyl record lovers, audiophiles. There's just so many things to discuss here, and I've learned through buying my stereo equipment some of the myths that a lot of us may think are true when they actually aren't. And I've learned from people who actually sell stereo equipment every day, all day long. They're the experts. They know stereo equipment like the back of their hand. I've also learned from someone who designs and creates stereo equipment, and someone who runs a music label has also helped me along the way. So I'm going to be sharing what are some common myths when it comes to stereo equipment. And I want to give a shout out or just a special acknowledgement to Steve Guttenberg. On January 23rd of 2016, he wrote an article. So it's been a while back, but while doing my research to make my video, he had wrote an article about 5 myths when it comes to audiophiles. And a lot of what he was saying kind of mixes in with what I'm saying here today too. So I felt like I wanted to give him some credit because he talked about this before I did. I'm going to expand or maybe even add to what he said, but I agreed with what he said. It was a great article. So let's go ahead now and talk about the myths when it comes to stereo equipment, vinyl record, music lovers in general, audiophiles. Number 1, that you must be rich to own high-end stereo equipment. And this is where someone I was able to talk to, when I was buying my stereo equipment and making my upgrades, I was able to talk to someone who sells stereo equipment all the time. And you go through those catalogs and you look at what's available, and it's just mind-blowing how much certain pieces of equipment cost. You could easily just spend so much money. So I made a comment to them about, man, some of this stuff is for just rich people who can afford it. And they corrected me. They said, you know what? Actually, the people that buy the stereo equipment that we sell are ordinary people doing extraordinary things with their money. They are not rich people. They are people who work in factories or just they don't make a ton of money, but every month, every week, whatever, to meet their goal, they are saving, they're putting back. Sometimes it takes a year, sometimes 2, sometimes even more. And they are able to buy their dream equipment. So I thought that was so exciting and so motivating to know that not just rich people are buying great stereo equipment. Some people just have a goal. They work hard. They take that overtime as much as they can. They work the Saturday when they can. They sacrifice other areas of their life until they get the money, and they buy stereo equipment with it. And that is the bread and butter of their business. It's not the rich people. It's the everyday wonderful people who get up there and work so hard and save up and make their dream come true. So I love that the idea of only rich people can afford high-end stereo equipment are the ones doing it. I love that other people are doing it and working hard and making it for themselves. Also, another way to be able to afford high-end stereo equipment, obviously, is to buy it used. If you can find someone who has that piece of stereo equipment you're desiring so much and you can get it at a little bit of a discount because it's used, that's awesome. So I love that rich people are the only ones who can afford high-end stereo equipment. I love that that's a myth. That's awesome. So number 2, one of the things when I was researching the speakers I now have is a lot of people think the bigger the speaker, the better the sound. And I've bought 2 different sets of speakers. I've started out with just little cheapy bookshelf speakers, made one upgrade, and I've made another upgrade. And I have been to businesses that sell speakers. And I go in there and I totally am delighted and agree. It is cool to see those huge speakers. They are intimidating in a good way. You think, wow, these are mind-blowing. They must sound absolutely incredible. And a lot of them do. But for where I listen to music in my living room, I don't have a designated music room. It would be totally different if I had a designated music room, but I don't. I listen to my music and enjoy my stereo equipment in my living room. If I had huge, huge speakers in my living room, they would be obstructing the natural light from the windows that come in our living room. We also have beautiful water views from where we sit in our living room, and I wouldn't want to obstruct those views. So for me personally, huge speakers just weren't an option. They would also obstruct my TV, I must say that too. So that was just a no-go. I'm extremely happy with these MoFi SourcePoint 10s. They do the job beautifully. I experience three-dimensional sound and imaging, huge sound stage, real sound. I mean, it's just incredible. And I didn't have to get humongous speakers. Now, these aren't tiny. They're called bookshelf speakers, but they're not really bookshelf speakers. They're actually bigger than that. But they're, for me, the perfect size. And I can't imagine, I'm sure if I spent the money, yeah, I could probably upgrade the speakers and get something even better. But I am totally happy with my speakers. And they're not these gigantic, intimidating speakers. They're actually just very beautiful, almost artwork-like. They just look great in my living room. So that to me is another myth. You do not have to have these big, humongous speakers. They're not necessarily the best. But of course, everything I say today is totally subjective, especially when it comes to stereo equipment. We all have our own unique rooms, our unique setups, our own unique ears, and our own unique personal taste. So here is another myth. Vinyl lovers hate digital music, and CD lovers hate vinyl records. You know, this is kind of this is something that I get and hear about in the comments in my videos. So it's something I had in mind. I have a lot of CD people. They love CDs, but they love watching my channel because they love to hear about music. And they try to switch me over from vinyl records to CDs. And they tell me, you know, CDs are so much more affordable right now. And that's true. They also tell me you will avoid all those clicks and pops when you buy CDs. That's true. But I am just going to always stay a vinyl. As far as I know, as of today, I'm going to stay a vinyl lover. It's what I grew up with. It's nostalgic. And yes, vinyl records take up way too much space, and yet I love that, just that big, just being able to hold it in your hands kind of feel. I really do love vinyl records. Some vinyl record collectors go on a pure analog route. They're on this path and they just will not listen to anything that has anything digital. They like to stick to pure analog, and that's great. And then there's the CD players. They're all digital. They don't want anything to do with vinyl records at all. That's great. There are some people who are like me here in the middle, and that's why I think this is a myth. I think the majority of people love the idea of live and let live. A lot of us, we just want what we think sounds the best for what we can afford. And if a vinyl record, and I am a vinyl record collector first and foremost, although I do have some really great CDs that I love too. If a vinyl record that has a digital source sounds the best, I am totally cool with that. I don't mind. If it happens to be an analog record, I'm totally good with that too. It just doesn't matter. I don't think we really hate each other for our differences. I think that's a myth. I think we all just can agree to disagree, but I think most of us stand where I stand. We just want the best sound quality for what we can afford. I think that's really where it is. So the next myth is that you must spend a lot on high-end, expensive cables. And this is somewhere where I have to admit I'm not an expert. I have not done any replacements on cables. What I have is very basic. They do the job, but the people that I have talked to have said, you don't have to spend the big bucks on cables. Save it for something else. I've never heard the word snake oil as often as I've heard when it comes to people talking about cables. So, I don't know. I honestly have not done a lot of research on cables. So far, it just hasn't been something I've been thinking about making replacements in. And I think that you could probably do well if you go with a good quality brand of cables, but you don't necessarily have to buy the most expensive cables. That's kind of where I lie in this. Eventually, I may do some upgrades. I'm not really sure. But with everybody that I've talked to, they have warned me ahead of time before I even do research or even consider changing out my cables. Don't spend the big bucks on cables. I want to know what your opinion is. Some of you out there, maybe you love cables and you love spending a lot of money on cables and you've gotten a really good return on your investment. Some of you and the people that I've talked to are like, no, don't spend big bucks on cables. You will not get the return for your money. Let me know who you are and how you feel about cables, because that's something I've just been really curious about. So the next myth is to truly get the most out of your stereo equipment, you have to buy audiophile records. And I'll admit, I do love audiophile records. I love certain labels. Some of them I just buy with total confidence that I'm going to get them and I'm going to love them. But it's not necessary. You can spend as much as you want to on your vinyl record and stereo equipment hobby. You don't have to spend the big bucks. You can spend the big bucks. It's up to you. You do not have to spend a lot of money to get great return on the enjoyment of listening to vinyl. And I'm going to just give a shout out to someone who a couple times a year, this guy Paul, who is a viewer of my channel, he will send a box of records to me. They're all garage sale finds, and he never pays more than $2, and most of the time he finds these records for $1. And I'm going to post a couple of pictures so you can see some of his amazing finds that he gets from strictly garage sales and maybe an auction when he goes to auctions or even an antique store. But he really does not pay more than $1 or $2 for each record. And he sent a few my way. If you don't want to spend a lot of money, this is a great way to get great sound without spending the big bucks. Anything by Dave Brubeck, they're usually under 10 bucks and they usually sound amazing. This 2i Columbia label rarely disappoints. It is one of those that you put on and if you don't pay a lot of money for, and I usually don't pay but a few bucks for a Dave Brubeck record, it's like, wow, this sounds so incredible. And you've not invested a lot of money into it. So that's very cool. He is also able to find audiophile records at garage sales for $1. He was able to get this for $1. This is Neil Diamond, Hot August Night. One of the worst covers. I don't even know what he's doing in this picture. It's pretty humorous. I've never been able to figure it out. This cost $1. It has a little bit of water damage, but the vinyl was perfect. And I like Neil Diamond, and I know that that's not maybe one of the hottest mo-fi records that's ever been sold, but it's a cool one. And it sells for about $40 on Discogs, and he was able to find this for $1. So, he gets up on Saturday mornings, Friday mornings, he gets up early, he goes to these places, and it pays off for him. Here's another Mobile Fidelity record, George Benson Breezin'. This is another one that sounds great. It's so much fun to listen to, and I immediately just knew the songs. So it's a great classic record, $1. Again, a little bit of water damage. So, I'm not one to buy records with water damage, but if it's for $1 and it's a MoFi, absolutely, I will pay $1 for a MoFi record. So those were great. And he also, this Aretha Franklin record, it's really nice. It was $1. You don't have to spend the big bucks to get the enjoyment out of vinyl records. I'm probably not a great person, again, when it comes to the audiophile records and telling you not to buy them, because I love them. And I would just say, if you're one of those people, you spend a couple dollars, you're not willing to spend a lot of money. If you have the record that brings back memories, that you absolutely love every single song and everything means so much to you, you owe it to yourself to at least buy one audiophile record, because it really does. Make sure the record you buy gets absolutely amazing reviews and that everybody loves it, because you do get a lot out of audiophile records. I'll show you one here. This is Joni Mitchell's Blue. This is the latest one step from Mobile Fidelity. This is a promotional copy. I literally melted into my couch when I was listening to this. It's like you're at a concert for Joni Mitchell. Her vocals sound absolutely beautiful and they're dead center. You get this beautiful piano playing that sounds so natural, and you get this gorgeous guitar playing, and it's in this three-dimensional sound that really just wraps you around it. It sounds so good, and it's like you're in a live performance, only you don't have to hear the people around you at a concert. You don't have to hear other people singing it. You don't have to smell their body odor. You just get to sit back and you feel like you are in the presence of Joni Mitchell. They did a great job on Blue. It's such an incredible sounding one step. And yes, they are pricey. But I really do believe in a lot of these cases, you get what you pay for with audiophile records. So you don't have to spend the big bucks on audiophile records, but there's nothing wrong with it if you do. I think either way you go, you're good. It really is truly good. So another myth. Some people are more interested in listening to their stereo equipment than they are the music. And I have actually had that accusation put to me in a comment, and I'll never forget that. When you read something like that, it's hard to wipe it out of your mind. That's just a myth. It really is a myth. I think a lot of people like to find a record that they already love and have an attachment to the music and listening to it in the best possible way. I don't think most people will buy a record they don't like and have no interest in because they think it's going to reveal something musically that they haven't heard before. I don't think most people are like that. I think most people buy the music they love, and a lot of us like to find the best sounding version of it possible. So yes, I think that's the case. I don't think people are just listening for their stereo equipment. I think they actually have to be moved and feel motivated and impressed with what they hear. So I know for a fact the people that are getting in here, they're listening to music because they love music. They're not just into their stereo equipment and listening to music they don't enjoy for their stereo equipment. I just find that to be ridiculous, and I believe it's a myth. I want to leave you with a final thought, and this is just me, and please don't take it the wrong way, but this is not a myth. This is so 100% true for me, and I hope it is for you too. Records sound sweeter, and stereo equipment performs better when it is something you can truly afford, that you can put your head on your pillow at night and sleep. You're not in debt. You can provide for your family. You can save for your future. I mean, don't go overboard. This is such a rabbit hole. Stereo equipment, audiophile pressings, even buying the cheaper records if you buy too many of them. It can put you on another way where you're just not enjoying it because you're worried about the bills when they come in. So, and I'm guilty of that too. There's been times when I've went to a record store or a record fair or bought a piece of stereo equipment, and it's like, okay, I'm going to have to be good for the next couple of months. And it's stressful when you get that bill in and it's more than you expected to be. That to me, just keep that in mind with all of this talk about stereo equipment, records, buying what we love. Nothing sounds sweeter than stereo equipment and records that are paid for, and you're able to pay all your bills and live a well-balanced life. So, that's just my 2 cents here at the end. Let me know, are there other myths that you think need worth mentioning? What do you think about what I talked about today? If you have your input on cables or any of the things that I talked about, I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, subscribe, leave your comments below, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.